right. Welcome back to the Club Innovators podcast presented by Capstone Hospitality. Every week we have guests from the golf industry designed to help educate golf professionals. And with me this week is a special guest, Kathy Heil, who is a partner with the Storyteller Club marketing team. Kathy, welcome to the Club Innovators podcast.
Kyle, it's awesome to be here. Thank you. And as a bonus, I got to meet you in person a couple of weeks ago at CMAA, and that was terrific.
Absolutely. We got to see each other at CMA, not for very long because we were both stuck in the booth and really grinding away on it. But always such a good experience. I love seeing all the vendors at CMAA, and it's a great chance to get out and meet clients and potential clients and just people in the industry. So I always love it. I get to catch up with my buddies from Club and Resort Business, Rob over there, and all those good people. So it's a fun time. But today we're going to talk to you a little bit about, kind of marketing oriented, but not so much marketing, but kind of that storytelling within marketing, because I think people get caught up. They hear marketing and they think one thing, but really the trend of marketing in 2025 on it, maybe 2024 on, is telling that story, right? It's more organic than it's ever been. It's no longer commercialized. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it sounds a little contrived having a company name called Storyteller. Ed, who's my husband and founder of Storyteller, we're coming around 20 years of being in business. And I think it was just a fortuitous name, not really knowing where storytelling was going to go. But you're absolutely right. And I think that digital has transformed everything. Digital has changed how no matter what you're buying, whether it's a membership to a club, a car, any especially big ticket purchases.
Yeah.
It's storytelling. One of the biggest foundational aspects of it is that it builds trust. And that's really in this digital currency and ecosystem, it's about trust and who can do that better, who can do that faster, who can do it easier. And so that's where I think storytelling and marketing do go hand in hand, whether it's the content on your website, the content in your emails, your social posts, your videos. It's about storytelling, building connections, and connections build trust. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And that's the way it is, right? Whether we realize it or not, we have this trust in certain brands or some kind of connection we have to it all the time, right? You ask people about what they're wearing and these things, and they have these elaborate stories about how I got this jacket or what this is or what it means to me. I have one with the coffee I drink, right? I drink a particular coffee because I like the story behind it. And it's nothing other than good marketing. I recognize it's not even that good a coffee, but I really like the story behind it. So it is what it is. So I tell that joke all the time.
At the same time, when we talk about storytelling and trust, you can lose trust if you're not really careful. So
Correct.
it's cut both ways.
It absolutely does. So I know you guys yourselves just went through kind of a rebranding yourselves. You went through this rebranding journey. What inspired that shift, and how has storytelling played a role in reshaping your identity?
Great question. So there was a thing called COVID, right? That we like to forget, but it is part of our past. And right before COVID, we were really committed to really going all in, helping private clubs through our identity and our experience, because we had worked with many industries for a variety of years. But what really stood out for us were private clubs. And our first relationship with a private club was back in 2000. 2010 with Hazeltine National, a great golfers club in the Twin Cities in Chaska, Minnesota, hosting many PGAs, and we've been working with them ever since. So it's a really long time. We really that's where we cut our teeth, and they were our first club client. We said, we're going to use this software called HubSpot. Never really done that before, and we've never worked with a club helping generate leads with that software, but what if we could generate a new member next year using it? And so that started our story. And then through the years, we had done a lot of work with different clubs, probably different golf organizations in the industry, different, clubs here and there, and really landed on some pain points that we knew we could help. And that was, helping clubs create a digital presence that stands out, that connects with prospective members in new ways. And so that really was the genesis of moving in that direction. We were about to rebrand from Storyteller Media and Communications back in 2019. COVID hit. We said, let's put a pin in that, because as we all know, golf blew up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clubs didn't so much. They paid more of the COVID price, but we do a lot of work in the golf space. and they didn't need us. And so we decided to continue our journey. And then last year, as we started to see the numbers back on the decline and the pre-COVID normal, we decided it was really time. And so we rebranded to Storyteller Club Marketing, which really made our focus crystal clear in our direction and our relationships and our partnerships and our marketing really crystal clear, because in this world of digital, you have to have a focus. So that really mid last year, we rebranded and haven't looked back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, you and I, most people kind of always ask about the podcast, like, what do? Do you just keep people on? And I'm like, look, we do a pre-interview, and you said a few things in the pre-interview, and I want to touch on one of them. But one saying you said really stuck on me. You said every word matters. And can you talk a little bit how you craft that content that not only informs, but creates that emotional connection with potential members, with prospects, and maybe current members too?
Well, that's a loaded question, because everything marketing today revolves around content. And so it starts with maybe backing up to Ed, who founded Storyteller as a former TV news journalist, and he was an anchor and a reporter. And so the genesis of our content strategy really was rooted in TV news, which is real unbiased information, and it's connected at the heart of it, your message and your brand with your prospective audience, and making sure that you're creating content that they need to hear and want to hear and are really passionate about trying to find information. And so that became the cornerstone of our why, creating really good, not salesy content. And so it's content really aligned with the brand, the club, the community. And this sounds really contrived, but it's getting their story out, because the best kept secret, and how often we have conversations with clubs and are like, well, we're the best kept secret. Well, that's a waste. You're asking someone to put down, 6 figures to join, and they don't want to talk to the membership director yet. They're going online for information and getting to your website, and you've got the best kept secret. So
Exactly.
every word matters, starting with your website, because we truly believe that's your storefront. That's the window to your soul. And my latest term is community invisibility. How about that?
I like that. Yeah.
Community invisibility. And that is like, clubs have amazing stories. They have amazing people, amazing relationships. You can play golf, or you can sail your boat, or you can work out anywhere, but you choose to join a club because of the community. But when you go online for information, what do you see? You see empty pictures of pools, sports, and empty golf courses. And you see either way too many words or way too few words. I'm not sure that words I think that the words on a website are an afterthought. And we believe that the words on your website need to be the most important words that you have.
Yeah, and that's not only from a storytelling and a marketing piece, but we also know that the nuts and bolts side, there's an SEO component and a Google search component where those words are really, really valuable too. So for the people that are out there, and if you're a GM or someone who hasn't looked at your website in a while, you need to go back through your copy. You need to say, are these keywords? You need to say, are these the stories we're telling? And are these the words we want to define our club? Because it's so very important. Like you say, you go and you look at copy, and you can just tell when you hop on a website and the copy hasn't been updated in 10 years. The language alone feels old, right? And so you see these things, and it's very prevalent in the golf world, right? People get a website and they say, this looks pretty good. And I feel like they just kind of set it and forget it. And that's exactly what happens. They forget it. And now kind of time is caught up with them, right? It's 10 years later and everything's just old and dated.
And guess what? When they go to redesign their new site, they take the same words from their old site and they plop it in a new theme or a template. And I often will say, to clubs, let's go through this exercise, and let's go through page by page your website and pretend you're your ideal target.
Yeah.
And go through it. Like, first we have a conversation about what makes your club special. Why do people join? Why do people stay? Why, if they don't join, why don't they join? Really trying to get into the persona mindset. Now that we just had this conversation, let's go to your website and let's go page by page. And you told me this, and you told me that, and you told me this is really what makes us unique and special. And I'm like, but it doesn't exist anymore. And so I think you're exactly right. It's that set it and forget it. And that's really only one part of the website, as we know, but it's a really important part of your website.
And I think you brought up a good point there. I refer to that as user journey. And you have maybe 2 or 3 type of user journeys on your website. And one of them, I'm just going to use, our term, what we do a lot here with my company is that user journey of a prospective member. And I go through all the time and I tell people like how many clicks and how easy is it to get to a membership inquiry form. And some websites, it's hard. And as well as I know, if it's a website and you're just kind of picking around and looking real quick, if it takes more than a minute to, and really less than that, if it takes more than 30 seconds to get where you want to go, they get frustrated and they leave. And so that's very important. If someone's looking for information on your website and you're not making it readily available, they get frustrated and they leave. And we do this all the time, right? We do it on smaller scales, restaurants, doctor's office, things like that. But think about that user journey because when someone gets frustrated, they're done. And maybe they come back, but they probably won't.
Well, we could talk for an hour about this.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the things that I just like nails on chalkboard, you get to a club website and it's call this membership director if you're interested in information. Well, why are you making me do the work? Like,
Correct.
it should be really easy for me to get what I want. And then secondly, it seems like the majority of websites that I see in the club industry have one form, and the form says join now. And I'm like, you want it? Where's the dating process? I'm just trying to get to know you. I'm not ready
Yep.
to go. That is your only form. That responsiveness better be good, even though I think you should have other forms besides a join now.
Yeah.
But I just went through this exercise last night because I'm getting ready to connect with about 15 clubs tomorrow, one of the PCMA chat. And I went through and I filled out 15 forms of the 15 clubs that are going to be there. And I got to tell you, not one impressed. There wasn't one follow-up that was branded, that was welcoming, that made me want to take that next step. If I even got a response at all.
Now, correct. We've done this before. So I'm curious if just to kind of appease me here, how many people called you after you submitted that out of the 15?
You have to ask, Kyle. Not
Was it 0?
one.
Yeah. And so this is something we've done.
Not one.
At Capstone, we did a secret shop of over 300 clubs nationwide. And I think since then it's up to 500 or 600. And I believe the call response rate is like 11% or something like that. And it's, as yeah. And I mean, we call it, obviously some of them were pretty darn good clubs, but that person's the hottest lead they're ever going to be when they fill that form out. It's like, you better, like you said, if you're not going to call them, which we always recommend here, but if you're not going to call them, like you said, it better be a really good looking branded email that seems super professional, welcoming and warming, right? You want them to feel important in that moment, like they got a response. But boy, if you make that person wait 48 or 72 hours before you reach out to them, they have moved on.
They have moved
100%.
Yeah. And I would say, I don't know what your studies show, but I think that on average, membership directors, and it's because they don't have the right tools, it's not because they don't have the right intent, but oftentimes they really don't know because they haven't been like trained as a salesperson, which is really what the job is. They don't know what outreach should be. And so it might be follow up one time, twice at the most, if they don't have the right tools. And then they've moved on. And we all know that the average length of time and number of touch points a prospect needs to engage for a high ticket purchase like a membership is 6 to 10 touch points, right? And so 1 to 2 doesn't cut it. So there's just so much opportunity on the table. And I think it stems with just making sure you've got the right tools in your tool chest, and strategies so that you don't let those really hot prospects fall away.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with it. And sorry, we're not trying to make this episode too salesy if you're listening,
No.
but I can even tell you our stats are actually 8 to 10. So it's even higher than that. We know on average to get a sale for a prospective membership, and this is at, 30 something clubs across the country and over 100 clubs, in the history of our company, it's 8 to 10 touch points.
Yeah.
And so we tell them all the time, like, look, now, right, a touch point could be a text, right? It could be, they came in, they did a tour. Obviously, that's a really important touch point. But there's all these different things to help work people through that process. But like you said, it starts at the very beginning with having a great form that they can easily find is enticing to fill out. Because if they never do that, you never have their information. There are no touch points, right? Because there was never an initial inquiry. And so it becomes so much harder. So I think, right, your talk about how important that form is, it's way more important than people think. It is the lifeblood of some of these organizations, because if you don't have incoming leads, you're never going to get sales. If you don't have organic incoming leads, like, yes, you can go out and pay and get some, but you know as well as I know, an organic lead that came from someone that showed up on your website by themselves and submitted a form, that's the easiest sale you're going to have all year long. Like, those are the hot leads.
Because the motivation, getting the motivation of the buyer is there now. And that's why timeliness is so important. It's not 7 days from now. Even, some of the forms that I filled out that I heard respond, yesterday, I just got one an hour ago. I've moved on. And so
Correct.
we can just really kind of, that's what I love what we both do. We're kind of like beating the same drum, saying,
yeah.
Take care of every lead that you have. Make sure that you're positioned to capture as many leads as you possibly have. And then make sure you stay on top of them with good stories, with good, good videos, with reasons to continue to get to know you, until which point they either opt in or opt out. We want or no, right? No one's the right fit.
And, just because they're not the right fit doesn't mean someone they know isn't the right fit, right? It could be that John Smith, who visited, loves the club, but maybe it's slightly outside his price point, but his buddy's talking about it. And he's like, I really loved Club XYZ. I really wish I could be a member there, but man, I can't say enough good things about them. That could turn into an adjacent sale. And so it's always so important to, A, have these interactions, and then B, like you said, put your best foot forward and tell the stories and get the FOMO and all that good stuff, because it's brand awareness, it's everything else. And you just don't know when someone else is going to recommend you, even if they're not a member. It happens, right? I come across things all the time. I'm like, look, that looks great. And I recommend them to other people, but it's not for me. And that's okay, because right, if I'm not your target market, then you don't really care. So it's perfect.
Well, you just hit on something really important, knowing who your target market is.
Yes.
Knowing what they care about, knowing what they don't care about. Evan on my team is a 30-something, and he's got 2 young kids. He's a huge golfer, and he lived 10 minutes away from this course he can just taste, but he's not at the right season of life to join. I promise you, he will join this course.
Yeah.
When but it's going to be when his kids are old enough where family programming connects with him and says, these are all the things that your family can do. Your wife doesn't know how to play golf yet? No problem. There's a group for her too. So being able to really focus in on who your target audience is, and then staying top of mind. You mentioned FOMO, so that you can continue. Kevin said he's so surprised that they never reach out to him. Inches away from joining is probably within 18 months. But for the next months, the more they can drip on them, and the more they can share stories and showcase all that there is to do for his family, the more maybe the sales cycle.
Correct. I mean, those, like you said, it's that brand awareness is saying there, right? If he's 30, he's a millennial, right? And I'm a millennial too. We love the internet. All right. And we want to see stories and videos, and look, I love it. I'm not joining probably any club. Just because, I have a young daughter and everything else going on. I'm just probably in the same place he is.
Yeah.
I'm a little older than 30, but it's kind of the same thing. That doesn't stop me from going on and watching videos. I watch videos on golf courses and drone flyovers and everything every day. Now, I know it's part of what I do, but I like it. It's peaceful to me to see beautiful golf courses. And so they're going to consume that content. You better make sure it's your content they're consuming and not the golf club down the street.
Yeah. Everybody else's. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit here. I love that we were super passionate about that, but you talk about, well, trust me, it makes it more fun. We talked about HubSpot. We both are users of HubSpot, but I know you guys are a HubSpot partner and you definitely use that with CRM integration. So how do you kind of integrate all of these tools with that storytelling in those user journeys and of that nature?
Well, HubSpot is the epicenter of all of our marketing. And the reason why, when you can centralize all of your marketing in one platform, and for those that don't know HubSpot, it's a very robust sales and marketing automation, built-in CRM, has tremendous functionality so that you can create landing pages and forms, and you can create calls to action, and you can house your blog, you can build your website on it, and you can create all your email workflow. So all the things that we just talked about staying top of mind, you can build that within the same central intelligence of your system. So where that becomes super powerful, it's not only giving membership directors what they need, which is, we mentioned the tools in their tool chest. It's impossible for those 8 to 10 touch points if you don't have some form of marketing automation, whether it's HubSpot or platform. Having just the ability to package information, stay top of mind, create that FOMO. Everybody fills out a form. So that is really at the heart of what we do, or what we would recommend in marketing engagement to look like for any club. Centralize the information so that you can report it. You can go into the board with I can't tell you how often manual reports are. When we first talked with the club, they're like, yeah, every month so and so is spending a couple hours putting together a report for the board. And if you have centralized marketing, you have centralized data reporting and dashboards. So it really is intended to appease every aspect of a club: leadership, board members, GMs, and then really the day-to-day lightening the load, working smarter, not harder for membership. So that's the platform that we landed on 15 years ago and have never looked back.
Yeah, and obviously I have experience with it too. And I think just the pure organization, right? I've come across and talked to a lot of people. I said, well, how do you organize your leads? And they do everything like, well, we got Excel. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? Like an Excel is, I guess, great, but right, it's a manual process. And like you said, I'm like, how do you get leads from your website inquiry? And they're like, oh, well, it emails to me and then I manually put it in Excel and all this. And like you said, it's like, hey, like just alone right here, this is 2-3 hours a day that you're spending on a process that could be automated pretty easily, right? And how much more would you like to automate these simple, boring tasks and then be able to work on selling and storytelling and all these different things? So I think that's where HubSpot and other CRMs just become really, really vital, is like, just like you said, it saves time and makes you more efficient. If it was that alone, it's worth every penny that you pay for it, right? But then it has all these other tools of tracking and dashboards and all this other stuff. It just makes your life 100% easier.
Kyle, where I become a little disruptive and a little annoying and a little probably too assertive is, I'm really tired of having conversations with membership directors who are using spreadsheets. Even if they're red, yellow, green, color coded and they've got their own system, they can do better. And where I think you and I both become passionate around HubSpot is, even the CRM is free. Like, you don't need to go to the board for approval. You can just sit right and become your sales and marketing day-to-day lead management system. And it's up to you as the membership director to decide how you want to run your business. And I'm really at a point where if you're a membership director, you are in sales. And if you're a salesperson, you need tools. And I know budgets can be a big consideration at clubs. So I think you just have to ask, like, what do you want in your role? If you're relying on spreadsheets and sticky notes still, I'm going to challenge you.
Yeah, and I think that goes through, like, just in general today. There's too many tools out there for people not to be efficient. And I think that fear of learning them, I talk to people all the time. I'm like, listen, it seems overbearing and it seems tough to learn things. But in reality, you're probably 3 YouTube videos away from getting pretty good at something. And you just have to have the motivation to do it. It's not fun. I've learned how to do plenty of things on YouTube alone. YouTube is free.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But like you said, you got to have the motivation to go learn. And then all these things that I've learned, and now I'm like, I'm so glad I went and learned how to use these things, different AIs, and how to use HubSpot and how to use Zapier for things that HubSpot can't cover, and all these different things, and how to build client portals, for when we take drone photos that we want to, deliver in a nice, right, branded client portal. And it's like, I'm so glad I did all this stuff and I took the time to do it, because if I didn't, I would never stop working, right? I'd be working 70, 80-hour weeks on just monotonous things that don't matter in the day, right? Things that are not going to help us be better marketers, not better salespeople, nothing. They're just like literally paper pushing things. And it's like, if you can't figure out how to automate that stuff in your day, you're going to have a tough time. And we're not saying that to scare you. We're telling that to motivate you. Like, go find these tools. They're out there. Go use them because it's really, really effective and it will change your life. It really will.
Work smarter, not harder. I mean, that really, like, I always think membership directors are the unsung heroes at a club because they wear so many hats and they work so hard doing so many different things. But at the end of the day, they're being held accountable for certain numbers, certain membership numbers that are walking in the door year after year. And it's really hard to do that without systems and process. We just both happen to like HubSpot and be avid users. So it's not a HubSpot. But I will say, the only thing I'll just kind of add on to that is that there's no company that puts out more content about how to use their product, whether that be knowledge,
Oh, yeah.
YouTube videos, their blogs, like, it's all there. And if you want to take it a step further, you can pay for implementation, you can pay for onboarding, but there's a lot of free resources for the free tool that exists to really make a big difference in how membership directors do their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, if you want to pay for onboarding, we do that here at Capstone Hospitality. So you can give us a call. But
Yeah.
shifting gears again, email marketing, member retention, but email marketing is such a big deal, right? And it's maybe the most underutilized thing in this industry. And I know you take great pride in kind of the way you guys do email marketing. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, again, I don't mean to sound like a HubSpot commercial. We do use HubSpot because of the automation. And for those that are curious about the pricing of HubSpot, even some of the free and $15 starter versions can provide some of this functionality. So I'll focus on that $15 starter version because that we want to try to mitigate barriers of entry, right? So with the $15 starter version, you can have up to 5 sales actions. So an action would be an auto, like somebody fills out a form, they get an auto responder, that's an action. There's a notification sent to the membership director, that's an action, and you can send a couple other emails. So that's like really basic email marketing. More robust email marketing, when you really like have a lot of campaigns going on, requires the professional version, which is $800-900 a month. So that's what I'm focusing. Like, I'm a big believer of crawl, walk, run. If you don't have any automation, 5 actions is certainly better than nothing. And $15, you can pay for it out of pocket. It's not going to break anyone's bank.
Correct. Yeah.
So really, it's that first impression. We'll drop on The Bachelor. That first impression rose. Like, what's make you stand out? There's a million clubs. If somebody's actively looking for, considering joining a club, that they're not only on your website, they're looking at editors as well. So how are you going to differentiate? We talked about that form and that first impression. Once that form is filled out, now what? Right? Now we want to start to engage that prospect, not sell. We want to engage. We want to excite. We want to create FOMO. We want to continue to have them take that next step. You mentioned the buyer's journey. So if we can automate some of those functions, better yet, but let's make the content really meaningful. Let's really think about how we're saying it. And it starts again with, who are you connecting with, and what do they care about? If you can segment information on your form that they initially fill out, you can ask them what they're interested in. Then you can really tailor the information based upon their preferences. And as we know, like, this is the oldest marketing cliche of all time. If you can send the right things to the right people at the right time, the more we can understand what the persona is interested in, the more we can really tailor that communication.
Can you just give it, like, I know what you're talking about, but just in case anyone that's listening doesn't, what do you mean by figure out what they're interested in? Like, specifically on the form,
Yeah.
is it like you just put interest and it's like golf, like the pool, fitness, something like that? Is it as little as that, or is it more complex?
Yeah, or it could be like really calling out your amenities, but then maybe you're looking at, if you're a club that's got real estate, are you looking at a relocation? If you are looking at, healthy lifestyle, or you're looking, how important is your fitness? It all depends on what really separates your amenities from a club, but the more you can really help determine what the prospect might be interested in, and if it is a gated community and it's a relocation, is that like are you looking for friends, or are you looking to like be anonymous? Right, you're not going to have. Are you looking to be part of a community that you? Are you looking for social aspects? I think that's really true for most clubs. So it's really trying to hone in on interests so that that trigger can segment the information that they. And if somebody's like a hardcore golfer, maybe then we're going to send the drone footage. But somebody who's family focused and looking for golf, the drone footage might not resonate with them.
Yeah, they probably don't want to see a flyover of number 8 if they're really family oriented and worried about social experience and things like that.
They're looking for a pool and they're looking for camps information and they're looking for, like swim team information. They don't want to send drone footage of so.
That's awesome. And I think that's such a good point, right? How many people out there just get that inquiry and send off that stock email? And right, like everyone is a lot more savvy in 2025 with the internet. I don't want to say like everyone's, genius with it, but we know when we're getting a stock email, everyone does, right? When you send something off for any company and you get that auto response and it just feels like a stock email, right? Thank you for submitting the form. We'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. And you just kind of like, you're not upset, but you just kind of roll your eyes at that when you get it. Like it just, right, hey, I'm just a number to you. And that's how it feels. And having that, like you said, if they can tailor it slightly and maybe, like you said, give a link to this or check this out, hey, we're going to get in touch soon. But like you said, I'm an avid golfer, but hey, here's a great flyover of our course while you're waiting. Something like that to keep right now. I'm going to click on it again. I'm going to watch maybe a YouTube video of your course. And right now, I can't wait for you to call me, as opposed to, thanks, we'll be in touch soon. I'm almost going to forget that I inputted that. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you, right?
And when you watch something that really gets you excited, what's the next
Yeah,
thing you go do? You're like, what else do they have?
exactly.
And then if you're really excited, you want to share it. And who are you going to share it with? Your buddy who you want to join the club with you because you want to be able to experience the club together because you've always talked about it.
Yeah. And that's right. That's how YouTube videos work and TikTok and all these other things. There's that share button right there. And we all know when we see that funny video, the first thing we do is put it like right in our friend group chat.
Right.
And I'm the king of that. They're probably annoyed with me, but I'm the guy that always throws like YouTube videos in the group chat. And so it's, right when everyone's working probably too. So I'm probably that annoying guy, but it's a great example of exactly what I'm doing. So I think that explains quite a bit there.
Yeah, and so many clubs will have videos, and it's amazing. You might see it on YouTube, but you don't see it on their website, or you might see it on their website, but they certainly don't include it in the autoresponder. Of these 15 clubs that I just went through this exercise yesterday, there was one that had a culture video. It was really kind of, we call them like brand anthem videos, Storyteller, and so they had a brand anthem video. Now, granted, the image of the video wasn't really, it's like well, and the head was cut off. But kudos to them for including video
Yeah.
in the autoresponder, because it's like, wow, we can't wait to connect. But in the meantime, here's a way to start to get to know us. It feels really personalized. If I could show you some of the other ones that popped up were the auto form, like that, how you fill out 7 form fields? It was a recap of the 7 form fields. Like, why are you sending that to me? For you.
I know what I said. Thank you.
Like so in that you'll be in touch, but like you can automate that. But just think about your persona, think about what they care about, think about what makes your club special, and package that in that first impression.
I agree. And like you said, if you can drop a video, that's always the biggest thing. Like people or brilliant photography, but people want to watch videos. They're taking the time to do that. I love to watch a good video. Even if it has nothing to do with me and it doesn't have anything I'm interested in, man, if it's a well put together video, I'm probably going to watch it. Now, part of that reason is it's what I do for a living, so I enjoy it. But, it's just like you said, you feel like when you fill out that form, I hate to say it like this, but you almost feel like you want something back immediately, right? And if you get...
You're in that mindset right now. Right now, I'm thinking about it. Right now, I'm taking the time. Right now, I'm on websites.
Give me something.
Yeah. And often, and we always talk about the fact that, like, in this Gen Z, millennial, you guys all have young kids, right? So
We
you
do.
might be. This is kind of like why all of this matters to have it, on your prospects' terms. It might be a Saturday morning while the kids are sleeping that you're online. It might be Sunday night after the kids went to bed that you're on researching information. And so making sure that all of the things that make your club unique and special, to, not every single thing, but that you your best foot forward in ways that your prospects can access you on their terms at 10 o'clock at night. It's still in the morning, right?
You're dead on. I mean, I'm that, right? I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's about to turn 3, and I always tell bedtime's at 8:30, and from about 9 to 9:15 till midnight some nights are when I have, personal time to go do research or work on another project or do anything else. So it's so funny, like exactly what you said is, I mean, that's the life for me. So there's a lot of research I'm doing at night. If I was just recently switching my insurance company, right? I'm Googling that at 10:30 at night. And because that's when I have free time, I can't read that and make an informed decision when my 2-year-old's hanging off the chandelier at 3 in the afternoon, right? Because
Most
there's
people
too
do,
much
right?
chaos.
No, but I would say 9 out of 10 clubs that we talk to. Are you tell me a little bit about who you're trying to connect with, and who are you who's an ideal member to join the club? It's a young family. Everybody wants to go younger. Okay. So getting into that mindset of Kyle is busy with his 2-year-old. He's at night. He's doing
Yep.
early in the morning when they're not up yet. What is it when you put your buyer's hat on and you're going online to your to your club's website? What story are you telling them? What information are you making accessible for Kyle at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday? And I got to tell you, a really underwhelming form isn't going to bring Kyle back.
Correct. And if you're listening, I'm your target market, right? I'm 39. I have a wife. We both work. We have a 2-year-old daughter, disposable income, right? So that's who you're looking for. I'm not saying me specifically. Please don't call me if you're at a club. I'm not available, but you get what I'm saying. And so this is so funny, Kathy. This ties into, again, our pre-interview. And one thing you said that resonated to me more than anything else, right? You said a line, and I don't know if you're going to get mad at me for bringing it up or not, but you said it's not your grandfather's club anymore. And I thought that was really, really interesting because if you work in the club industry, just like you said, everyone is trying to trend younger at this point, right? They want young families and things. And I think that, there's these common misconceptions about private clubs for a lot of people, right? Older people, it's a little uptight, things like that. And now how do you market to that younger generation and convince them that that's not how your club is? And so I'm curious to hear that from you. This was your quote, it's not your grandfather's club anymore. Dive into that a little bit more and tell me about your thoughts on that.
Well, and I think that's the big digital shift, right? How we consume. It's not just how we buy memberships to clubs, is how we buy everything. We go online for information, right? And I won't get into the whole SEO and how you get found. Assume that the number one question when I have asked clubs, how do people find you? Word of member marketing or word of mouth marketing, right? And that's always going to be a quiver in your cap or whatever
Yeah.
is. That's always going to be important. And so I will then say, then going to your website, they're going to, even if it's a referral, they're going to go check you out. And so if you're not thinking about the imagery on your website and you're trying to connect with families, hey, if you have empty swimming pools and empty everything, that's not doing it for you. Make sure that the images that you put on your website that you give tremendous thought to, do they point the people you're trying to connect with? And if you are a club that is a hardcore golfer club that really you don't care if women join and you certainly don't want kids around, be true to who you are, reflect that in your imagery. But if you are 90% plus of clubs that are looking to age down, make sure that you really give thought to the images that reflect your membership, and be really mindful. I can't tell you how few websites I see that actually reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, if you're interested in a club or really anything in your life, you want to see yourself there, right? And so if you go somewhere and you feel out of place or imagery of that doesn't feel like, you fit in, you kind of just naturally are going to be a little biased against that, right? So like anything in life, you got to feel welcome. And I think that's kind of what you're saying there is like have imagery that makes them feel welcome. Again, if it's just stale imagery that doesn't show a whole lot, and I'm thinking, well, this looks kind of boring. Do I want to bring my wife and daughter there? Are they even going to have fun? Yeah, I like golf, but right, the idea is that they're going to go there while I'm golfing and enjoy the pool or some kind of activity in these things. And then when I come off the golf course, we're going to eat lunch together and all that good stuff. Well, if it looks from the imagery like my wife is not going to have a good time, guess what, guys? Like, I'm not joining.
Right, because we all know we all know the decision makers.
Especially in my house. So I'll readily say that one. So that's a very good point. So that's all really great, Kathy, and I appreciate you coming on. So I kind of have one other question. I ask everyone this question that comes on the Club Innovators podcast. So it's a tougher one, I'm not going to lie, but I always ask them, like, what do you feel like the emerging trends are from here on out? I always ask people to project. What do you think that we're going to see the rest of 2025 and on into 2026? That's something that clubs need to kind of keep their eye on.
We could have a whole conversation about AI, but AI can be your best friend. You have to invest to what you said earlier. Like you have to be a lifelong learner, and there's certainly a hump to get over with AI, but it can really help simplify a lot of your tasks in ways that you can't even imagine, even down to how your emails are put together and what the strategy and what you should say. It really is super helpful, powerful, and it's here to stay. It's terrific. I would say mobile first response. You're online looking for information, maybe from your phone, making sure that your website is built on a platform that can really be accessible, no, regardless of the device that it's being accessed. That is a real big deal breaker. If it takes a really long time for images to load, like our attention spans are really short. So make sure that you're thinking mobile first. I love the clubs that I fill out hundreds of forms, and once in a while I have a membership director that uses an SMS texting app. And I think we're going to see more and more of that with AI. So being able to really make sure that the communication that's coming from you sounds like you, matches you. And there's people there that can do that. And making sure that you have a cohesive strategy, that you're not bombarding somebody. At the same time, we want to be responsive, but we don't want to be overzealous and bombarding.
Correct.
Sure that as we integrate some of these new platforms like AI and maybe AI with SMS, that we overlay that we have a strategy. What will automation and email look like, and where does that fit? Where does SMS fit? And then where does the human connection fit? Because it all matters. It's not an all. It's a yes and, we say at Storyteller, yes and. So
yeah, and I think going back real quick to the AI thing, just for all of you out there, AI loves to use the word nestled when it talks about locations. So when I see nestled on people's websites, I know immediately that ChatGPT wrote that. So just if you're out there, this is a quick piece of advice: get rid of the word nestled. It's all of a sudden, it's like a word I never heard for a long time. And then all of a sudden now I see it every week somewhat, right, nestled in the heart of, in the hills of wherever. And I'm like, I'm so tired of hearing nestled. So that's a great example, right? Just because you wrote it on AI, read it over and make sure it sounds like you. Change a few words at least, or you're going to have the same place that's nestled in the hills of wherever with a picturesque golf course, right? Nestled and picturesque are the two I can always see and read and hear. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure you have a good plan. Just like you're saying, like AI is only as good as our ability to use it correctly. And I think that a lot of people see the easy way out and the quick way, and they do it. All right, it's done. Boom, send. And it's like, did you read it? Did it make sense? Because sometimes AI doesn't understand what you're asking it to do, and it just sounds weird or off.
yeah. So it's a tool. It's not the end all be all. The other thing, if I could add another, it's not a new trend, but I think that it's become saturated and overlooked, and it needs to be reignited. And that is social media. When your prospects are looking at information that includes your website and the emails that they read and the videos that they watch, they're also going to your social channels. And I just looked at a club yesterday. I was like super curious, and they posted twice a month for the last 6 months in Facebook and 3 times on Instagram. And it's like, I can tell you their demo is 60 plus, and there may not be on Instagram, but they absolutely are still on Facebook. And it shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be a very important part of your awareness to be able to showcase what does it look like to be a member at your club. Show me members enjoying each other. Give me access. I'm looking for access for information behind the gates. What does that look like?
And members love that. They love if you're highlighting what, and there's right. We could have a whole episode about the little easy posts you could make. You could highlight a whole a week, a member a week, what, and these are all really easy posts that you could schedule months in advance. But members love when you highlight something cool that's happened or whatever. Hey, John hit a hole in one on 15 today. Take a quick picture of him or this or that. And there's all these little things, like you said, that show the, really the social aspect of the club and people having fun and all these different things. And people just fail to take advantage of that on a daily basis. What is the one thing every staff member at your club has on them at all times? They have a cell phone, right? And cell phones, right? This iPhone that I have sitting right here, I'm actually using it as my webcam right now, takes almost as good of pictures as my $5,000 Sony sitting on the shelf right over there. So it's as good as it's ever been. Just take the media and figure it out later. And that's one thing. If I was, I'm not a GM and I'm not trying to act like I could be, but the one thing I would implement is if you see something cool in the course or in the clubhouse, take a picture of it. You're allowed to do that as a staff member. And because you'll never get that content back, right? You can always not use it or delete it. What you can never do is retake a picture that happened, 2 days ago, right? You'll never get that picture back.
And think about it. What's the story you tell yourself when you look at a brand that doesn't have that hasn't posted since November 17th and it's February 20th, or they posted since last August? That doesn't tell the story that you want to portray.
No, makes you feel like they don't care. And that's just whether that's true or not. It makes people feel like you don't care that much. And it's probably not true, but right, perception is reality. And that's a world we deal with all the time, right? Marketing is perception and reality. And so, I think it's very, very important. So I think you make a great point there as a trend, right? A trend that's coming
back. It's new. Like
it is.
It was so hot, and then it's kind of died a slow death, but it hasn't. Like if your club has lost interest in it, don't assume that your prospects have lost interest in it.
Yeah. It's cyclical. I can't say the word right there, but that's how it is, right? The old becomes new again over and over and over throughout history, but makes perfect sense. So
just one more point. I was at a global luxury event conference, and it was talking about what couples that get engaged. And I know a lot of clubs have venues that they want to fill for weddings. And the stat of the speaker said a newly engaged couple will look on the last 9 Instagram posts and make a determination whether or not they're going to reach out to that venue or not. So
wow.
If you're a club that wants to promote more weddings and events, just keep that in mind. That is, if ever you need to commit to social, it's Instagram.
Yeah, that's wild right there. There it is. There's a perfect stat to close out the episode. So if you didn't listen the whole episode, so you didn't get that tidbit, we'll have to cut that and put that on social media right there. So perfect. Well, Kathy, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for hopping on today. If anyone's interested in reaching out to you guys real quick, do you just want to give your website and your contact?
Sure. We are clubmarketing.com, and I'm Kathy at clubmarketing.com. Make it pretty easy.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Podcast, and we have a blog and a lot of resources on our website. So always trying to find ways to help lighten the load of clubs, help you be smarter and be more effective in closing more members.
Absolutely. And we'll also put their information down in the comments below here on the YouTube. So if you have any questions, check it out on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go to YouTube. We'll have the link sitting right there for you. Again, Kathy, thank you so much for joining me. We appreciate you coming on, and hope to maybe see you in the future on the Club Innovators podcast.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kyle. Great to meet you.
All right. Have a great one.